What's going on?
What's up, everyone? Welcome
Woo!
in. It is Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday.
Sunday. Fun day. Fun day Sunday.
I mean, it's always fun day depending on how you look at things, right?
Yeah.
It was fun. This weekend was super fun. I hope you guys celebrated, or I mean, it doesn't really matter. If you did anything for Valentine's Day or not, you gotta love yourself first, right? So I know some of my friends, some of my girlfriends are like, Valentine's Day. Well, you know what? Self-care, self-love is first. And then everything else, falls into place, right? You can't love anyone else if you don't love yourself. So love yourself. And I hope you guys had an amazing Saturday. And we did a lot of fun stuff this weekend.
Yeah, we went out to this place called the Magic Table in at the Pierre Hotel.
That's a beautiful hotel.
Really
too.
nice. Really nice.
It was such a nice time.
They had like projections of like stuff that goes on the table, and then it interacts with like the food you're receiving, and then they do these like illusion type spells and magic tricks and all this fun stuff. And it's set, so like there's a certain amount of time you go through everything. We didn't know it was like over 2 hours we were sitting there.
It was about almost 3, right?
Almost 3.
Yeah,
it was
but
crazy,
it was fun.
but it was nice.
It didn't feel it. It didn't feel like it was that long because
there's always
we were
something happening. Yeah,
and yeah, the whole thing with the cards and we had to put a card under a glass. And then we had to choose from 4.
Yeah, it was like 4 cards. One of them was a wand, a magic hat, a dog, and something else. I forgot what the other one was.
A mirror.
A mirror.
And you had to choose one. Which one was the card you were going to save, and it was your favorite card that you're like...
Yeah.
And I picked a puppy.
And I had the magic wand.
And he had the magic wand. And then you're supposed to take all your cards and rip them up.
Yeah. And then like in a certain order...
throw them in the air behind you.
Yeah, there's a few of them you throw behind you, and then... you rearrange it again, and you throw a few more behind you, and then you pass one over to your neighbor.
And
then
whoever's next to you.
That's like the card you swap with each other. And then they say, with that card, the other card that you have underneath your glass, you put it together.
That your neighbor gave you that you don't know anything about.
And then it so happened to be the card that you picked in the very beginning.
At the end, you put it together, and it was like, and then the one underneath your cup.
Yeah.
So then you take that, and nobody touched that.
We mixed it up, and
your neighbor didn't know what you
exchanged
picked.
it. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it was cool. It was fun. And the food was good.
And there was a few other tricks that they went through, which is awesome. So if if it's anywhere in your area,
table, not sponsored,
check it out.
But it was
fun.
It was an experience. If you like magic, you're like one of those what do you call you guys a puffin? What are you?
From Harry Potter?
Yeah, he's a Harry Potter.
I'm a mage. I'm a wizard.
So he's a nerd. Nerd alert, guys. Nerd alert. But we had a good time. And then, and then yesterday we went to the arcade. We had fun. That was on Friday. And then Saturday, we went and took Benji to the arcade.
Yeah.
We went to play club.
He's so good with these claw machines. Like
he is.
You go to a machine, he knows which ones to go to, and then he somehow maps
the one
out.
I wanted.
He gets them all the time. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's one of his gifts.
It's so fun.
Yeah. But speaking of gifted, amazing kids, I know someone that grew up being like, he's like a prodigy. Our guest tonight is going to be somebody that we can learn so much from and about. Dean Gordon. I'm so freaking excited. And he's a New Yorker, so hello, my peeps. So I'm really excited because, we're passionate people and, we're fun and we're going to have fun with him. Dean Gordon. So he is the founder of Dean Gordon Guitars. Gorgeous guitars. I mean, he was just at NAMM, so he's going to tell us about his experience and like what happened in NAMM.
Which is funny because we saw a NAMM video.
Yeah, say that.
We were watching Olaf. I can't pronounce his last I can't pronounce his last name. I'm sorry. But we were watching his show, and he was going through the NAMM experience, right, for all the guitars and stuff that he got to see, and then he came across the booth of Dean Gordon Guitars, and Yen right away was like,
oh my God, wait. And then I was like, go back.
Yeah, rewind that real quick. I want to see that one guitar.
And like drool, I was like, there was this one guitar I fell in love with. It's gonna be mine. I'm like
manifesting it.
I'm like Wade. I'm like, you will be mine.
You will be
yes,
mine.
You will be mine. Like that. Like I was like, damn. It was sexy. It was the aviation inspired looking one that was like, oh, we're gonna talk about that. That one was my personal favorite. It looked very spacey and like it made sense, you know, that was the one that I felt the connection.
Gravitated to. Yeah.
And then it just so happens
to be our referral from Zach, that he put his name on the list, and we were like, we got to get him on. Let's talk about his guitars.
Like, wait a second. And it was like the cards. We put 2 and 2 together, and it was the perfect match.
It
and
matched.
I was like, it's like we manifested that.
Yeah.
It was so crazy. And so many things happen like that, you know? And yeah, so anyways, enough about that. I think we should bring him and put him on the big screen because he's the rock star of the night. And we're going to be talking about everything that makes him awesome. Dean, are you ready for me?
Yes, I am.
Let's do this. Dean Gordon from Dean Gordon Guitars here on YenYorkCity Live. Let's go.
Here he is.
Yes.
Look at this handsome man.
Look at that. Beautiful. Just like his guitars. His guitars are so gorgeous. So,
Thank you.
Dean, I gotta thank you so much for giving us this time and space to see and hear and just talk about everything from your experiences, how you became this amazing luthier, and your company. And you know, you are the founder, so there's gonna be so much that we're gonna learn today. So thank you so much for giving us your time.
Yeah, no problem. Look, it's part of what I love to do is talk about what I do. You know, that's how I get people to know about my guitar. So I'm more than happy to do this.
Amazing. So I always like to rewind time, and we're going to talk about the very beginning. I know that you started really, really young. You're like 14, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I got into guitar. Believe it or not, I always tell people this. It's not a guitar-heavy band, but I saw the very first concert that I saw, like a big band in an arena, was Coldplay. And they came out, playing, and it just kind of got a thing going in me where I was like, you know what, like that looks like a lot of fun. The guitar player looks like he's having a lot of fun. I don't know, it just clicked, and that was just before the holidays. And my parents were like, oh, what do you want for the holidays? What do you want for Christmas? And I asked for a guitar that year, so they kind of picked up from there. And almost immediately, I started tinkering and reading online, and how do I stay in tune better, how do I sound better, and probably should have practiced more, admittedly, actually playing the instrument, but I got more into the technical side, and that's like how it really kind of began.
So you played at a very young age, and what do you mean you should have practiced more? What was the first
I'm an okay player right now, like I can't even tell you like a first song. It was like Coldplay and U2 and that kind of thing. I wasn't how do I say, when I didn't practice very much, I meant like I would play the songs that I thought I wanted to play, but I did spend more time focusing on okay, what parts can I swap and why the guitar sounds
the brain of it all.
Yeah, I got more into I got more into the technical side of the guitar, and I got better over time. I was taking lessons for quite a few years from a jazz guitarist, and when I was living in Astoria, New York, but I never played in a band. I was never technical. I can't like read like actual sheet music. Like I'm not.
You don't need to do all that.
Well, listen.
I don't want to sound like I don't know about guitars. I'm trying to say. Like, I got into the technical side of it much harder than I did into I'm going to practice every day. I'm going to get as good as I can. I'm going to play in a band. I'm more on one side than the other.
Well, if anything, you're more important because you're the machine and the one that needs to make sure
the guitar players can sound good.
That they can rock out their hardest they can, because of you. So,
you would think like, a good luthier would really, really, really should know how to play. And I do believe there's some credence to that, but, I think it goes both ways. I think, and maybe we'll probably go over this later on in the podcast, but there are other reasons why I learned what guitarists need out of their guitars. There are other ways to learn those things outside of, I'm just a player or I played in a band, but those things do help. I know plenty of luthiers that were in really good bands and got into making guitars because they said like, I was playing and I knew what everyone lacked. So I don't have that story specifically, but without going too much into that topic.
So what was your first axe? What was your first guitar?
So the very first guitar I got was nothing insanely special. It was a Squier Stratocaster, a Fender copy, Squier's Fender's overseas brand. I think that's probably a typical story for a lot of people. Squire and Gibson's brand Epiphone
Yeah,
are
a lot of people's
extremely
first.
common. Yeah. And they're the affordable guitar. And, again, before you know it, I was tinkering, and quite a few years down the road as I got better and I was taking lessons, and my father saw that. I put a little money together. My father paid for the other 2/3 at the time, or actually, I don't remember, but regardless, my father helped me get my first like real electric guitar that I say, which was a Fender Telecaster, a real Fender this time, and that was quite a step up considering. But yeah, by then I was also really getting more into like what parts can I swap from the guitars, tuners, pickups, like all of that kind of stuff.
So were you using the Telecaster as like your foundation to like mess with? Or were you doing that with like your starter guitars, just to kind of
so
swap out?
We had a few different instruments that were running around the house. So I had the Squire, which I played with, but not too much because that was my only guitar. But then when I got to Fender, I was like, I'm not going to touch that. That's like my golden egg right there. And I have the Squire now to really play around with. So that's about when I started like learning fretwork and more taking more physical modification to the instrument. And my brother Dylan at the time he played the drums for the longest time. Had one of his loser friends forgot his bass guitar at our house, and it was just there for years. No one ever came and collected it. So that guitar was the one that I really brutalized. It was like an old area.
Dissected, open.
Yeah. It was an old Area Pro bass guitar. It was the first guitar that I put a finish on, and I just played around with it. And a lot of firsts were learned on that guitar. So I had the 2 guitars, and as I kind of got better with less kind of physical things, but more just setup work, I was setting up friends' guitars, restringing them, and eventually. Now we're getting into like later high school. I got an apprenticeship with Sadowski Guitars, which is they're legendary in New York City.
Yes.
And then there's Victor Baker, who is an archtop maker. He's a lot lesser known. He now lives in San Diego, but at the time I had the 2 apprenticeships together. And this was just as I was coming out of high school, going into college, that this was all happening at the same time. So I learned a lot from Roger in terms of setup and like sound and all that. And then Victor was more like the woodworking side of things, and tools and tooling and shop setup. And it went on from there. The apprenticeships ended. I did like 8 months with each of them or something like that. And, by then I was in college, and I was at FIT for graphic design and packaging design. So I had a big art background. I went to the High School of Art and Design. My mother was an interior designer. Like, I was always around creativity. My father owned a hardware store. So I was always around tools my whole life. I was always around kind of very like artistic things, colors and shape and whatever, my whole life. So without getting too far from guitar, that's about when
all makes sense. It all comes together.
That's kind of why I'm putting it all together.
Yeah.
And about the same time as the apprenticeships, I was putting money together to make the very first Dean Gordon guitar, which I don't have one of the guitars sitting behind me, but these models behind me are the Virtus models. And then I have also the other models called the Miris. The Miris was the first guitar that I created. I drew it up in high school. I sketched it up in high school. And kind of through high school and after the apprenticeships, I knew enough in confidence to say, I could sketch this up, I can make the templates, and I can make the very first one. So yeah, that's kind of the beginning right up until like the start of Dean Gordon guitars.
Wow. So leading up to that, then, like, what really helped inspire the design for your Dean Gordon guitars in the very beginning when you started developing it? Right, was it always this way, or did you have to go through a lot of different iterations, or?
So I have, basically coming up with a guitar design is like all about shape. Like, I have a sketchbook in front of me, and like you can see I have all kinds of stupid designs, and it looks ridiculous. It looks like chicken scratch, but like I'm playing with shape all the time. Like whenever I'm just playing around, and I have 3, 4, 5 of these with just like, look, I have some over here too. Like, I'm gonna flash these really quick because this is a new design that I have.
Ooh, but, exclusive, guys.
Yeah, and that's not coming for years, but I've been working on that just to give you an idea.
I'll blur it after.
Yeah. So I'm coming up. Sorry, pick up this pencil. I'm coming up with different stuff all the time. So the first guitar was a lot like that. Sitting in, I'll never forget. I was always getting yelled at by teachers. I could hear Mrs. Zaffos in English class yelling at me, put the sketchbook away. And I was at art high school. So they were always telling us to put our sketchbooks away, actually. It was like, you could, that's like, the teachers were sick of it, but you couldn't get in trouble for it.
You couldn't stop us, basically.
Yeah, it was the high school of
I
art
was
design.
drawing anime on stuff, so I was...
Yeah, but again, it was the high school of art design. So like Calvin Klein graduated from my high school. Like, all these big names came out of my high school.
Yeah.
No, and it's just this kind of like, academically, it's not a good school. So like, no one thinks about it in New York, but it's a big art school. And so I was sketching up the designs in there, and the Mirrors model was, I started actually drawing up like Telecasters and Fender style stuff and more traditional shapes. But every time I would do that, I'm such a nerd, I'd end up going home and I'd be looking on social media or reading on guitar sites, and I would see like, oh, someone's already kind of doing this offshoot design that I just sketched up and I liked today. So I'll rip it up, throw it in the garbage can. Because I'm not like,
you want to be unique.
80% of other luthiers just make copies, and I going to art school never lived to that. Like, if I'm gonna copy someone, I'm just gonna go become a car salesman or something like that.
Right? Yeah.
So like, you know, like there was no point in copying someone else's art or whatever they did. So eventually, I kind of came to a sketch of the first Mirrors model, and it was just kind of like an outline of the shape, and I was like, you know, I was gonna finish kind of, if you look at the guitar, you could see the lower horn kind of comes up there.
Yeah.
I was gonna like complete that shape and have it like come to the guitar, and I was like, wait a minute.
Attach.
What if I just like made that lower horn like that? And then it kind of all came to me, and I came up with the Mirrors design. And I was saying to myself, you know, I'm not just going to make this like a cutting board, like a block of wood. I'm going to make it really curvy and have beautiful shape to it too. And like, because, you know, people don't look at, you know, big trucks driving down the street and go like, oh, it's beautiful design. People look at Ferraris and Lamborghinis
like,
and stuff like that.
I love the curve.
And that's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful design. It's sexy. It's curvy.
Yes.
It's nice. So
I agree.
That's what that was the philosophy. You know, it always is like Italian design always has these beautiful lines. And, you know, like no one looks at anything boxy really, although stuff from like the 80s, which was very boxy, is coming back into style.
Thank you. He's like me. What
on
is
a guitar, boxy will always and forever look like shit. So excuse my language there too, but that's how I look at it.
That I'm always like, it looks like a trash can every time I see
the Cybertruck.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Looks like my fridge.
Right. I'm like, I can't get into those. I'm sorry.
It's a skateboard ramp.
Yeah, and they're huge, so it's off-putting too. But that was my thought. I wanted to put curves on the guitar. I wanted it to be like very sexy design, and you know, that's where I land on what I have to both sides of me. These are the Virtus models, and that's kind of how I iterated into what I make today.
Yeah, it's sexy, it's beautiful, it's curvy. I love it. It's unique. I've never seen a guitar that looks just like that. So yeah, I can see your vision come to life, and the drawings and the design and everything like that.
Right.
So yeah, so that was your first, and there's, how many designs do you have right now?
Two. So it is, the first was the Mirrors, and then like a year or two later came the one that's behind me, which is the Virtus. They have been refined as the years have gone on, because now what the hell year was that? That was 2012, 2013. So it's that long now since I've been doing these. So they have become refined. The shapes have changed very slightly. The curves have gotten curvier and more sharp, and over time I have refined them, and I've stopped at the two designs because I have what I have, and I want these to be, I want brand recognition. I want these to be like my staples. People, you know, Fender, for instance, has come up with 1,000 different designs over the years, but no one thinks really about them. You know, Fender's Fender, so there's always a lot of talk, but people know the Fender Stratocaster and the Fender Telecaster. Even people who don't play guitar, a lot of them know, oh, is that a Stratocaster? Like, people know that.
Yeah.
You know, so but they not so much. They're like the Jazzmaster they make and the Jaguar. Like not guitarists know that, but it's not as popular. So I wanted these to be like, I'm going to spend a long time maturing these and making them good. A lot of guitar makers, especially in the boutique realm, they're always thinking like, I'm going to come up with so many different designs because they're thinking they're casting this big net. And like, oh, I've only made a few of those, you know, like down the road when they're talking to clients and they'll have 20 different designs, they don't get to mature or refine a design. They don't get to create any brand recognition. You know what I mean? Like when people look at Dean Gordon guitars, they're going to know those are like the Stratocaster and the Telecaster.
The flagships.
Yeah, I'm maturing them. Well, a lot of guys, they're thinking they're casting this net and they don't realize they're actually maybe hurting themselves by offering so much. You know, when you sit down at a really high-end restaurant, those menus are often not very large because the chef back there knows this is what we're going to do and we're going to do it really well and we're going to get really goddamn good at doing it. Mm-hmm. So, you know, but what happens, you can go to a great diner and sit down, like especially in New York, you have all those Greek diners, for instance, and stuff like that, and you open up the menu and you could have pasta and a fish and a burger and like, who, you know, like that's ridiculous. And people say it all the time, like I don't even know what to pick. So that's why I only have the two. I really want to mature them. I want to make them good. I want to be known for doing this. Eventually, like I said, I have this third design that I've been working on more heavily this year than any other year. This is still this is not coming anytime soon. That goes to show you, even when I'm drawing the designs, I've been spending years on this little sketch right here. It just changes. And I say it to my wife all the time, like it's like I'm 70% there on it. I'm not happy with it. So I'm not going to just bump it out just to get it out.
Right.
I'm going to wait until I'm like, this is it. So I take this part very seriously. And a lot of that is maybe my art school background that is telling me to like really get it right. But that's how I feel passionately about those designs and making sure they're good.
Yeah. If you want to deliver something, you want to make sure it's at the point where you yourself is happy as an artist, functionality, and you know, and when you deliver it, it's complete, right?
That's why he's fine tuning it.
Yeah.
It's just right.
And it's not like half-assed. It's like, okay, well, I need something out. I'm just let it out there, right? It's you put a lot of time and effort, and then and it just goes to show like the quality of your work because of the time you took to make it come out. You know.
Yeah.
It's almost like a perfect song, right? It's like a perfect song, like until you feel like I think now it's
a good artist will. A good artist will never want to just bump something out because like, oh, it's there basically. And like, that's not how it works. Like to most good artists, like, you know, I could bump things out and just get it all out and try and see I could throw, you know, poop at the wall and see if it sticks, but I'm not that guy. I've never been, I want to make sure it's good.
You're refined.
Yeah. I want it to come out and people to know like, okay, this took him years and I want it to be felt and seen. I don't want it just like, it's a new design. Like I see a lot of guitar companies, big and small, put designs out every other year. And I know, wow, they spent no time on this whatsoever, or it was very lazy. And you know what, like I sound ridiculous saying that, but I think I've been doing this long enough that I could turn around and say that about businesses. I'm not naming anybody, but I could look at people and go,
I'm not naming names.
Yeah, I could sit here and go, that's pretty. Yeah, actually, that's funny you bring that up because that's the one brand that is coming to mind. They just came out with a new design, which I really actually appreciate them trying to do something different. I can't even name it off the top of my head, the new design that Ivan has just came out with, but it is very different. And I'm appreciative that new brands are doing wildly different things because that only helps me doing the wacky stuff that I do.
I think I've seen it in NAMM. They did display it.
And they had it at NAMM, and it's funny. Me and my wife were doing our early morning walk through the show, and I looked at it and I said, "This thing is lazy." And it's not knocking them. It's the truth.
Look at
and
this.
Anyone in the guitar world will kind of say that, like, yeah, like they could have done better if they just an extra year. It's good. It's almost there. It's a good product. People will buy it. But they could have done better, and I think that's a bit of a pride thing. There's the business side is overriding the okay, we're trying to do something cool side of things.
The alpha.
There's a balance. Yeah, the alpha series. Yeah, there's a balance to these things, of course. Like, but I don't know. I think I could look at that and go, they could have spent a little more time on that, and that's not an unfair thing for me to say.
Yeah.
I mean, you know your craft, so you see something when it's rushed, and you could tell. You can tell good craftsman knows like, oh, this was like cookie cutter, or this was done like they could have refined or perfected this model. Sure.
When I was like looking into your designs and like doing some research online, I came across 2 designs that is not mentioned anywhere on your site, but I don't know if you have any correlation to. And it stems off of the Chelsea Hotel.
Yeah.
So the Chelsea Hotel caster and the Super T, is that something you've worked on before, or?
So the Super T, I just recently kind of pulled off my website. I only made like 5 or 6 of them, and they were just Telecasters, but with some modern appointments. I kind of had that in there for a few years to maybe just pull a few orders here and there because, you know, as the brand is growing, I'm not, you know, a few years ago I wasn't as busy as I am today. Now that I'm busy enough, I no longer do the Super T because, again, that's a copy. You know, and while I had my own flair to it, I don't want to do it anymore, and I don't want it to represent my brand as much. So I kind of I really pulled back on doing that. But the Chelsea Hotelicaster is different. So for those of you who don't know, I worked at Chelsea Guitars, which is a very famous guitar store, vintage guitar store in Manhattan, and it's in the Chelsea Hotel in New York, and that's like a hyper legendary building in terms of musicians and artists who stayed there and lived there, from Andy Warhol and Jimi Hendrix, and you go down the list, Leonard Cohen, the list of famous people
legendary
is so mind blowing, and it spins your head. And you know, the last time I was in front of the hotel, there was a world famous actor standing in front of there who was staying there. Timothy Chalamet was standing right up front. They were just about to come out with the Bob Dylan movie. And Bob Dylan also stayed at the Chelsea Hotel all the time. So like the guitar store was there, and they were renovating it in the 10 years that I was the head luthier at Chelsea Guitars doing repairs. And as they were renovating it, they're pulling all this old pine out of the hotel, and they were literally throwing it into the back of garbage trucks and crushing it and smashing it and driving it away. And it took us, I feel stupidly, too long to go, you know what, we should start taking a bunch of this pine. But we started like, you know, handing the guys like $20 bills and saying like, look, we're going to take this out of the garbage truck. And they'd be like, all right. And they would turn around, and we were taking it out of the hotel. We have piles of this 100-plus-year-old Civil War era pine from the Chelsea Hotel.
Wow.
I have it in on my drying racks inside, and it's you know, like, it's just, I have a wall of this pine to make guitars out of. And I feel the best way to represent the hotel in that era that really made it was to make a Fender Telecaster style guitar. And so I do those. So that's the connection to the hotel and making that style of Telecaster. Once that wood is gone, I'm never making another Telecaster in my life. I'm never making it. Like, that's the only reason I make a Telecaster right now, is I have this beautiful wood, and I feel like making a guitar like my modern style, it's lost on the Chelsea Hotel. It doesn't do the right respect. It's an era specific thing. And the kind of guys that also respect the history of the Chelsea Hotel and really know it and connect to the people and the legends that stay there, it is that era too. They're Telecaster guys. They're vintage guitar guys. They're not Vertus and Miras guys. So I make the Chelsea Telecasters like that. And they're very special guitars. Funny enough, actually, this is my personal Vertus behind me. That guitar is the only one of my modern guitars made 100% out of wood from the Chelsea Hotel.
Wow.
So and we got very little mahogany out of the Chelsea Hotel from the door frames, enough for like 2 guitars. And as I was pulling it out, I'm saying to myself, mahogany is my favorite tone wood for a guitar. These are my guitars. Yeah. As I'm pulling this out of the garbage.
I'm taking this.
So that's one of them. And the back of the guitar, the back of the guitar it's natural mahogany, so it's got a beautiful metallic green finish on it. But the back of it is a natural mahogany, and you could actually see all these you could see all the screw holes in like the shape where they had like a brass bracket for like a door hinge on the back of that guitar. It's really cool. So it's
super cool.
Yeah, and that's the only, unless someone contacted me as like, I want a Vertus or a Miras out of that pine, like I would make the guitar, I would do it. I'm not saying no to that, but for now, when I do use that wood and I go to that pile of wood, I'm going to be making a Telecaster. Yeah.
Wow. And just to think that, you know, it's like you said, somebody's going to be like, oh, I want the spirit of the Chelsea Hotel in my guitar, my possession, you know, like It's
And
something.
think of it like this, and this is how this is the sales pitch, but it's the truth. When you buy one of those guitars, a lot of them are floorboards and they're from inside the walls, the wood, the joists inside the wall and the ceiling joints.
Yeah.
I always say to people, you don't know what room this came from in the hotel. This could have been Bob Dylan's room. This could have been Jimi Hendrix's room. Jimi Hendrix could have walked on this guitar.
And like leaned on it and taken a picture.
You don't know. I mean, and if not, it's from the same damn building. So it's like,
it has the essence of it.
It's got ghosts, exactly. So that's why I feel like it's got to be done as the Telecaster. It just respects that era too much.
That's genius, honestly.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks for filling that in, because I was coming across those. I'm like, wait, these aren't even listed anywhere, so I got to know what.
Yeah, I make like only a few a year at most, and they sell pretty much right away. I'm busy enough with these that the focus is not the Chelsea Telecasters. So, yeah.
So, you lived in New York for some time. How did you get the opportunity to work at the Chelsea?
So, again, I grew up in Roslyn on Long Island where I was born, and then I really actually grew up in Astoria, Queens, and we moved out there when I was about 8 or 9 years old. So went to art school my whole life, went to the High School of Art and Design, and then through that, and again, the apprenticeships that I had, I went to art school. I went to FIT. FIT is on the west side, and it's on 28th Street in Manhattan. The Chelsea Hotel is on 23rd Street. So actually, the FIT is on 28th Street between 7th and 8th Avenue. And the Chelsea Hotel is on 23rd Street between 7th and 8th Avenue. So one day after school, I'm walking down, just hanging out in the area, and we walked down 23rd Street, and there was Chelsea Guitars. I actually never had been there before. So I was like, oh, let's go in there. And I met Dan, the owner. As soon as I walked in, we were talking, and I was telling him how I apprenticed with Roger Sadowski and Victor Baker, and I want to be a luthier. And it was a big thing in my head at that time. I wanted to become a guitar maker, even though when I was going to art school. And he just looked at me and was like, come in next Thursday. And I was like, all right, literally like that, super old school. I came in next Thursday. He just pointed me behind the bench and was like, look, I'll pay you for this, but I'm going to pay you after you do the work. I want to see what you could do. So he handed me some store guitars, some simple guitars to set up. And I set some guitars up, and I did a really good job. And he was like, look, come working on like Tuesday and Thursdays after school. He set some guitars up for me. My main guy needs to focus on customer repairs. And you could focus on the store guitars for us and keep them up to par. So that went on, and then eventually that guy kind of moved on with his own thing. They had Luthier there, and I became the main guy there doing pretty high-end vintage repairs. I mean, I was repairing, 40s, 50s, 60s Gibsons, Fenders, all the original guitars. I mean, like I would have $100,000 vintage guitar on my bench every other week. I kind of, that was like my specialty outside of like doing what I was doing was vintage repair and setting up clients' guitars. A lot of players would come in with guitars that they would have to do gigs with. And that's what I was saying earlier was that's how I learned what the player wants was I did repairs for the players.
Yeah. Hundreds
of players. I have a logbook with it's somewhere around, I don't know where. I have a logbook with 3,000 repairs that I did in 10 years. And a lot of it was for players and guys that I needed to do this, I needed to do that. I'm having this problem on stage. I'm having this problem in the studio or whatever. And I learned a lot about what makes what players want and what studio guys want, and and what certain kinds of players needed versus other kinds of players, because everyone's different. And that's kind of another area where I really learned how to sharpen what I do and get better at my craft.
The supply and demand and listening to what they want is something that with experience, that's the only way you can really know, right?
Mm-hmm.
He saw something in you. He was like, all right, you're doing this.
Yeah, Dan if you've never been to Chelsea Guitars, you got to go in there. Dan he's so old school New York.
Yeah.
And it's an era that is gone. Basically, it's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. And it exists in just a few places in New York still. Chelsea Guitars is one of those places where you go in there and it's a time warp back to the 80s, 90s era, early 2000s era of New York, where it's before New York City became a New Jersey strip mall.
Yeah.
And not saying I don't like New York still, but like it's not what it was. It doesn't have that as much personality as it did. You know, you go to like some famous venues and it's a bank now, or it's a Chipotle, and it's like, oh great, like no one's gonna care about those places in 30 years and go. Tourists would go, they go to the Chelsea Hotel to visit the Chelsea Hotel because of the history that it has. No Chipotle or Chase Bank or Dunkin' Donuts is ever gonna have that. I'm sorry.
No.
So unfortunately, like that's an error. So if you can go in there and meet Dan, and if he comes in later in the day to give you a tip, go in there and speak with him. He is full of old school New York stories, and he's that kind of guy where he could like read some people, and he's got the old school way of doing things. And I'm glad to have kind of that as a part of my 20s really and growing up, because it's something that a lot of young kids don't get to experience today. And while a lot of people might go, oh well, that was inefficient or stupid, and it's like, no, it's not. It's something that people need to remember, because it's like that's our history, and that's where the New York made its name, and New York doesn't have that anymore, and someone's got to remember it. So that way, when hopefully an era does come back along that is capable of building something worth remembering, we still don't forget that past.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can appreciate custom work, craftsmanship. So I grew up mom and pop shop. My dad had, he's also an interior decorator. Like it's strange because your story seems very similar. And I grew up seeing him restore antiques and upholstery, drapes, all that. And he had a few shops growing up, and he's old school. And he loves taking in apprentice and showing them. It's a lost craft, right?
Yeah, I mean, so, all of that is.
Yeah,
it's.
And I had my hand in helping make some of these chairs.
Don't tell me they're IKEA though.
No, they're very antique.
So I feel like what you're saying is exactly what I'm always trying to convey to people. Like the quality and the craftsmanship is a lost art, right? And in New York, I could tell you there's a lot of places that are closing because, of that, because people want something that's,
and it's not even just the quality, it's the ability to go in there and to immediately, like with Dan, he could talk to you for like 4 hours and you'll go through every bit of life and philosophy and traveling, and like that was a lot of New York, was everyone wanted to like
history.
There was it didn't even have to be a better quality than it is today. It could just be the fact that there's no love behind it today.
Right,
there's no like passion or care, you know what I mean? So it's like soul, exactly. And that sounds cheesy to a lot of people. I know it does, because I hear people say that, oh, big deal. And it's like, well, you obviously didn't grow up with that, so you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
We were just talking about like design now with like interiors where everything's so gray, right?
Yes,
and
no colors.
And the modern look, right?
Yeah,
with the circles and squares.
Yeah.
And then like we are like we enjoy seeing color, and because we grew up like in the 90s and the 80s, right? And like we're just like we're so captivated with like the vibrancy of life, right? And then the art,
really any era before like 2005.
Yeah, it's very vibrant.
It's like has color or shape, whether it's the Art Deco era in the 50s and then going into the 60s and 70s. That whole like that every era had color and shape and like just craziness going on. And today it's like, okay, like slap some plastic gray faux wood floors down and paint the walls white, and it's like I know I'm talking shit with a kind of a gray carpet and a white wall, but
you got some brown behind you, so that's fine.
But it's you do know what I'm saying. So it's like, and I don't know. It's not what it was, New York. But if you go to Chelsea Guitars, you'll run into Dan, and it's a very old school New York music experience, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of venues closing too.
Yeah. Venues, they just restaurants, everything. It's
CBGB's is gone now.
Well, they've been gone a while. So it's like everything is going. Even like long-standing institutions are gone. So it's like and they're gone. Like
So when did you decide to? Because you're in Miami, Florida now.
Yes.
When did you decide to move, and how did that go about?
So we moved like kind of after the craziness of COVID, just like right after kind of like the whole lockdown thing started to open up. And New York was really, really crazy without getting too political in that time. And we know we had the protests and all that going on. And outside of that, New York, you guys live in New York, it was like filthy. It was kind of disgusting. You know, like it was just trash was everywhere, and they had all the restaurants with the stands outside, and there were rats all over. And I kind of had this issue with New York before, and it was just always dirty and smelly and all the typical things you hear people complain about New York, and noisy and overcrowded, and I couldn't stand dealing with that. And then for the income that me and my wife were making, we knew if we moved to Miami, we'd be able to get this like a much nicer apartment with a pool and a view, and it's green, and we would be able to get the equivalent of what would be a $4,000 or $5,000 a month apartment in Miami for less than half that price. And the quality of life of ours would go way up, and we'd be able to pocket a lot more money. So that was a big part of it. And Catherine, with her work, she was able to help kind of, her company had an office down there too, so that her work, you know, she didn't have to go digging for a new job, so that made it a lot easier. And then the other big half of it is my brothers are living down here. My parents were looking to retire and move down here. So like a lot of pieces click. Catherine's family is also down here too, a lot of her family. So a lot of the pieces clicked, and it was like, you know what? Look, we're gonna go from New York. And to be frank, where would I put my shop? There's no, like, if you're looking to start a small industrial business or any kind of a manufacturing or anything, you cannot do it in New York. You can't. You just can't. It's impossible. New York is, I hate to say this about New York, it's not a business-friendly city for people doing my kind of work or any kind of work like mine. Whether you wanted to open up a machine shop, it's not business-friendly for that. And that, I think, really plays against New York. But I couldn't find a shop location in Queens. You know how much money I would pay? I would have to split it with someone. I don't want to split a shop with another guy or anything like that. So coming here to Florida actually really enabled me to do that. And then, of course, there's no income tax down here with state income tax. So I'm able to save that much more money, which I have only been investing in my business. So it's done nothing but positives in that sense. And so that's kind of how we ended up here. It really worked out for us. It just happened to be Florida. You know, I know typical New Yorkers move to Florida, but like, it just happened to work out. It could have been any state, really. I think if we didn't have all the connections to Florida, we would have maybe looked to move out of the state either way, because I had nowhere for my business to go. I was getting to the point where I needed more space for my shop, and that could not be obtained in New York without going out of business because I couldn't afford it. So it was a difficult choice in that sense. Like, I miss a lot about New York. I miss my friends. I miss, like, of course, there's way more events that go on there. I miss that. I miss all the restaurants, although there's plenty of good food down here. But that's why we ended up moving, really, was business and kind of like life reasons.
Oh, speaking of events, you just went to NAMM. So
Yes.
How was that experience? Because it looked like you had a really big booth too.
So, I mean, the booth, I actually just kind of have like a table at NAMM. I don't like to call it a booth because I'm part of a kind of like an elite group of guitar makers. It's called the Boutique Guitar Showcase. And Jamie Gale, who runs it, the curator, it's invite only. So when you go and you look at NAMM, or if you go to NAMM, or if you do any research on the videos, you'll see like, oh, this is the Boutique Guitar Showcase. A lot of people will say that. And it's a collective of like 20 or so guitar makers that do the NAMM show. And again, all those guys aren't there because, they just shelled out the money. We do have to pay to be there, but it is invite only. So it's a very serious group of guitar makers who specifically are trying to push the envelope a little bit more than your typical guitar maker. Unique designs, unique finishes, unique building methods, and that fills out that group. So I'm one of the builders that is invited there now for 4 years in a row, and I already know I'm definitely going to be invited for a fifth year. So I have my table there, and essentially we have this large area where everyone is given a table, and it's set up like a traditional guitar show within the NAMM show. So you can come through and everyone displays their work. The NAMM show is always a blast. Meet people, connections, musicians, other industry guys. Sometimes I meet people like yourselves who do podcasts and social media influencers, and it can be very cool, and it is a lot of fun. You go out there, it's like the once a time a year I get to like go and kind of hang out with all the dudes that I'm like talking with all year round, whether they sell me parts or they're just another guitar maker.
Do you have like a roster of people that are affiliated with your guitars or that are using your guitars?
I wish. So
not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. So it's a good way to put it. most of my guitar buyers are obviously private players, collectors, whatever you want to do. There's like a few guys that play my guitars, but they're small, like local bands. They don't really push social media, nothing really, really big. I can say that the very, very first guitar that I ever sold, I sold it because I was working at Chelsea Guitars, was to Keith Urban.
Yeah, wow.
He bought my first guitar. So like I went right to the top as my first sale, but he does not keep in touch with me. And I think he bought it because I was an 18-year-old kid and he saw that it was the second nearest model that I ever made. He saw something that was very different and cool in me. And I think Keith was doing it because he was being very cool and he was trying to inspire me and he was trying to support me. It was more of a supporting purchase than it was like, this is such an amazing guitar, I'm going to play it on stage. I know he doesn't play it on stage, obviously. So he's really the big name that I can drop. I do have a lot of players that know my work and talk to me. That one guy you were talking about earlier, Ola England.
Yeah.
He's in a band called The Haunted, heavy rock metal band. He doesn't play one of my guitars. I know he likes them and appreciates them, though. He's a super nice guy. But so like, there's a lot of guys like that I know have seen my stuff, that I've talked to, that I communicate with. But they don't own my guitars because they all have deals. And that's actually one of the biggest things that I think has prevented players from buying my guitars is they all, today that's the big thing for big companies and manufacturers is giving guitars to players, giving them deals, endorsements, signature guitars. Like I can't compete with the big brands in terms of money and getting that out there. But I do know, as you said, there will be a day where I think I'm going to have some big players playing my stuff. I just think that they're too cool to ignore. And I think one day I'll be able to, the industry will change or something like that, where players will want to play cool things. So I think someday some people are going to come along. It has to happen. I can't see it not happening. I say this all the time. It has to happen.
Yeah.
So who would be like the one person that you would love to see rock your guitar?
Yeah.
Like if you had to choose, like, let's say 3 or 5, like, who would you, you never know, manifesting it, like if they hear it in the ethers.
I already know this will never happen, but if I had, and I'll say why it won't happen. So the guy that got me into making custom guitars is Matt Bellamy from Muse. And I was a huge fan of Muse. I don't really listen to them so much today. They're a little too pop rocky. And Matt, if you
what are you talking about? You love them, but you're like obsessed with them. What do you mean?
If you somehow one day see this podcast for some ridiculous reason, like Matt, I don't mean it in a bad way. I don't listen to the music today. I listen to the old stuff. He plays these very custom guitars, and he actually owns that company now. And that's another thing a lot of players are doing is they're starting their own companies now because they're realizing, why should I give big percentages to Ibanez or to Paul Reed Smith? Why? When I could start my own brand. So Matt, if Matt would be able to get on stage and play one of these guitars, that would be a very, very proud moment for me for sure. Man, there's a metal band.
Have you met him? Have you tried to reach out to him? You never know.
I tried reaching out to him many times, and I think the closest I ever got was one of the head luthiers, if not one of the head guys that runs Manson Guitar Works today. Tim, I think is his name, stopped at my NAMM table the second year I did it. Ooh. And when he walked up to my table and I looked down and I saw his tag and I saw where he was from, and I had emailed him a few times, so he knew who I was and he knew the whole story, but he never goes back and tells Matt. And if he did, it never gets back to me. And I said to him, as soon as I saw him, I was like, dude, you have to show, I would love to just hear from Matt. Hey, Dean, thanks for the kind words. Like, please, you asked my wife, I've begged the guy. It didn't happen. That was probably the closest I will ever get. Please, like, if I can give you a handwritten letter and you could give it to him, like, I don't care. I don't even need to hear back. I just need to know that you gave it to him. Like, but it's not his job to do that. Yeah. Matt's so famous. I'm sure Matt told him a million times, I don't want to hear anything. So that's the closest I ever got without getting too long into that. So Matt is definitely one guitarist.
I'm like thinking of all these possibilities.
Believe me when I tell you, I have tried every angle until I actually have a chance to like shove someone out of the way and walk right up to the man. Maybe at a meet and greet,
bring a
I don't know.
This is the one and only guitar I will give away right now.
Unless something stupid like that can happen. And believe me, if I get the chance where I know I see him and I could scream at him, push a security guard out of the way, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. But So to Matt from Muse would be like a real cool one for me because of how his guitars, his custom stuff inspired me to go, you know what, I want to make guitars. I was tinkering with guitars early on, but his guitars are what made me say I want to make them. Then I would say there's a new band, newish, called the Bad Omens, heavy metal band. They've become huge now. I saw them. It was the last concert I saw before the COVID lockdowns. It was the night of the COVID lockdowns. I remember coming home and my mother was sitting there and she was like, you just went to this stupid show and they're locking the city down. We don't know this crazy diseases out there. And I was getting yelled at. And I mean, she's right. I was just crammed in this tiny, I think it was St. Vitus in Brooklyn, which is also closed down today. Tiny, it fits no more than 200 people in there.
Wow.
Crammed in there, seeing the Bad Omens.
Like
no one even
sardines.
knew no one knew who they were. Tickets were like $10 each. But now they're huge. You can't even get tickets. They play arenas now. They've blown up since then.
I know. I can see that happening.
Token.
I can see that.
Yeah, exactly. The same kind of thing with Sleep Token. They grew. They just exploded. So that's one is the Bad Omens. That would be like a really,
I feel like
really
that's
cool
possible.
one. I mean, maybe, but again,
I can see it.
Their guitarist is another guy though who now has big endorsements and is probably going to eventually have a that would be cool. Like there's a few metal bands like Bring Me the Horizon. I would love to have Mike Stringer from Spirit Box play one of my guitars, but he is actually endorsed by a boutique company and they just came out with a signature guitar. Like these are guys that because of the signature guitar deals and stuff, I know it's like very far-fetched. If not, it won't happen.
Tough.
And that also says that they really like that brand and they're why, you know what I mean? So I can't step on anyone's feet. So, I mean, I could go down a list of guys. They're all equally cool to me. I can't say one of them stands out and it's like, okay, him. Matt Bellamy is the one that stands out because of the inspiration fact. And that would be really like a tearjerker for me.
I really want that for you.
Believe me, I've wanted it for myself since I was 18. So, and I don't even know how old I am today. 31? I don't even know. I can't even tell you off the top of my head.
But now that you put it out there, if anyone or any one of us, we ever run into Matt, we have to make it known to check out Dean Gordon guitar.
Yeah, well, maybe one day.
We have to put it in your hands, Matt.
Yeah. But I used to get caught up on, I got to have the famous player playing my stuff. I used to really get caught up on that. It used to really get into my head because I could never seem to make it happen. Meeting players and stuff, it just never happened. Meeting Tosin Abasi and Misha from Periphery and all these other guys who have met in person, like they all have signature deals. They're all very successful business people, but they're never going to play my stuff. And they've all seen my work. They've all held it. Like they have not emailed me to purchase. Like, so I don't get caught up on it anymore. I'm very much so focused on, I know now if I focus on the quality of my product and as I said, maturing my product and just being cool and not harassing these guys, it will come along one day. It'll happen.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the attitude for it.
And speaking on that too, it's which we're gonna start segueing into your inspiration, right? Your influence, and we had touched on this earlier before we started the show. Is that Parker Guitars was one of your major influences in your design? Yes. You want to embellish on that? So
Ken Parker, rest his soul, passed away a few months ago. Biggest inspiration for me is the Parker Fly. That specific guitar, I know I was just saying like Matt Bellamy and his guitars made me want to start building, but I always had a thing for the Parker Fly. And getting into guitar making, and I knew immediately like I'm making these wacky designs, the Fly was always like the production guitar that was wacky. And so Ken Parker, again, pulling huge influence from him and having this very curvy, ergonomic, well thought out guitar that there's like a science behind it. It's not just like, we're putting these parts together like a lot of guitar makers do today. I mean, no offense to them, but so Parker, again, a very scientific guitar maker, just unique materials, shape, style. Like he had this elevated way of thinking of how he can approach guitars and making something that fit better to the body and that was lighter weight, and reasons for having a lighter weight guitar and certain profiles and specification on the guitar. Ken became an influence in that sense. And I mean, I could go into real extreme detail, which I don't think is as relevant. I think people get it. But Ken, people say that to me all the time at the NAMM show, for instance. We had 40, 50 people go like, these are like the Parker flies. And that makes me so proud, because that's exactly, I don't make them for people to go, oh, look, that's a Parker fly, but I make them to give off that essence. You know, it's definitely something that I take pride in.
And that's like one of the first things I've noticed on your guitars when I first seen it, especially like the teal ones and the green ones, that I was like, I knew about Parker guitars because my old guitar player had one, and I played on it, and it's such a smooth feeling guitar. And I can only imagine, just looking at your guitars, how smooth and lightweight it would feel, and it does give that essence. And I'm like, that, you know, if I can't get my hands on a Parker, yours is definitely going to be the ones I'm going to end up looking for.
Right.
So, in that retrospect, having to find artists that currently use Parker guitars is looking for the next best thing. Gordon, your guitars is the one that's going to be the next best thing next to Parker guitars.
Thank you. And
but his own
crazy,
right,
you know,
he's his own.
Yeah, no, Parker guitars, you know, wacky. It's hard selling a crazy design. You know, it's hard doing that. Now, Parker guitars, there has to be, you know, for those listening, Ken Parker came up with the design and was working on them for a long time, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. That was when he was involved. Eventually, they parted ways. He went off to make his own archtop style guitars, and Parker guitars continued making the Parker Fly and the Max Fly and all these other designs that they had. And they separated, and that's when things kind of went downhill for the company, because Ken was kind of holding it together. But then, you know, it got to the point where those guitars are so complex. They're layered with carbon fiber and all these things that even I don't really even do. That really is what made them famous, the ingenuity and the science behind them. They were like way ahead of their time, and they were extremely expensive to manufacture. But not only that, when the company had to go and hire people, they needed to go out and hire experienced guitar makers who knew what they were doing and understood the kind of guitar they were making. They couldn't just say, let's put a listing out, we need a guy who could sand. Let's put a listing out, we need a guy who could handle this type of woodworking. They needed experienced guys. So one that narrows the pool of people you're gonna hire massively. And then those guys are gonna want more money than just the guy that comes in to do some sanding and stuff like that. So they had a lot of problems hiring people, and, you know, one guy quits, the other guy's not doing as good of a work, the quality kind of has problems. And the company went out of business, I think, in like 2013 or 14 or something like that. And I don't think anyone's going to bring it back, especially now that Ken is gone too. It's hard to sell those designs as well. Like they were it's difficult, you know, it's such a crazy design. I think today people are a little more accepting of unique shapes and designs. And again, like I was saying about Ibanez earlier, part of that is that the big companies are moving on making crazier stuff. Well-known players are starting to play crazy designs, like Tosin Abasi from Animals as Leaders has his own company now, and he's playing all these crazy style guitars, and that's inspiring a lot of young guitarists to not look at Fender and Ibanez and all those companies anymore. Not that people don't appreciate them, but people want something different. So that's really helping out. And but Parker kind of had a crazy journey, and you know, and Ken did his own thing, you know. So it's you know, again, rest his soul. But it's kind of a very detailed story.
Yeah. So we're about an hour into our show, and we're going to take this moment to do a quick call to action for people that are currently watching. And if you've stuck around this far, I appreciate you for hanging out and listening to Dean's story. If you have any time now to be able to hit that subscribe button so that you can catch future shows, our future guests, and you know, check out our previous shows that we've had, and also give you the opportunity to come in the chat and talk and send out questions for Dean. If you have any questions right now, if you'd like to put it out there, I would be more than happy to you know, throw them out for Dean to answer for you. So
I wanted to ask him a question before we go and veer off of the Parker guitars. What would you say is the similarities, and what is innovative? What is new when it comes to your guitars?
So I think the biggest thing that I take away from Ken is because, like I said, I don't come anywhere near him in terms of like the science behind it and the engineering. Like, again, the necks for like these multi-layered carbon fiber, like all this craziness, and using resins and epoxies to put it together. I don't do as much stuff like that. Where I think that the similarities are there is the shape and the way it sits in your lap, and the thought behind that, how it fits to your body. Ken was very thoughtful of those things, and balance, and so that's where I draw the biggest inspiration. It's just having that super lightweight, like easy to get to the upper frets, very accessible shape, and that's where I think the biggest inspiration was from Ken. Because what's the first thing you notice if you look at a wall of guitars? If there's one Parker Fly on that wall, it's always this crazy metallic color, like crazy blue or yellow or orange or something.
Yeah.
And then it's that shape. It's like, holy hell, like, look at that thing. Like, what the hell is that?
It's like
the fenders,
focus eyes.
Yeah, the fenders blur out because they're all the same.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, look at that. And my guitars do the same thing. So I think the shape inspired me very early on, before I had an idea of the science as much behind guitar making. Shape was always bigger in my head, again, going to art school and all that. So the shape and the curves and
the
the
piece
style.
of art. It's not only an
yeah.
instrument, it's a piece of art.
Yeah.
You wanna?
I wanted to show the one that I love.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Let's
you wanna talk about that one?
Speaking of shapes and metallics, there's one that I was just like in love. It was love at first sight. And
See, I can pull it up here.
I want to show it on screen.
There it is. And the reveal. Whoa, what happened? Hold on. There he's back, and then there it is.
There it is. The mirrors.
The mirrors.
Yep.
It's
Look
beautiful.
at that gorgeous guitar, guys. Oh my God. So tell us about the inspiration to this beautiful piece of art that is also a guitar.
So I'm a big aviation nerd. I love fighter jets. I'm a little kid when it comes to that stuff. So that Mirus model was on display here at NAMM for the 2026 NAMM show. And that one is inspired by the U.S. Air Force. They fly, they have the 65th, if I'm saying that right, maybe the 64th, I'm forgetting off the top of my head. They have a 65th or 64th Aggressor Squadron. So it's a squadron of elite fighter pilots that, you know, train a very specific way. And they're the only squadron in the Air Force that has these unique kind of paint schemes on their aircraft. And the only reason they get that is because these pilots actually train the way our enemy trained, so that when they could actually use those pilots to train the rest of the pilots in the Air Force. So these guys learn how the enemy act so they could train against us. And so they get those special, really cool painted jets, and they do that like dazzle camouflage style on them. And that's where I got the inspiration for that. The kind of the way that guitar looks and the paint work that we did on that guitar was to put the dazzle camouflage on there and give it this real stealthy fighter jet kind of look for the year. And every year when I do the NAMM show, I try to do something kind of like cool and artistic and kind of out there, because it's rare that people order stuff that kind of crazy. So I always like to show people, like I do these inspired guitars where I pick something from the real world, whether it's a car, architecture, or whatever, so be it. This year was this fighter jet, and I felt that I feel like it looks beautiful. That guitar, personally,
Gorgeous.
It's so silky smooth. This is like matte finish on it. I love that guitar.
Yeah, we love things that are different because, you know, it stands out more, you know, and
Memorable.
like we have a Solar, but it's like neon yellow, right? It just glows in black light. So like seeing these type of like designs and on guitars, we gravitate more towards that, you know, for us, and we love the way that turned out. That was such a nice design.
That's why I like to do these kind of inspired guitars at the NAMM show, because it's just always a way for me to do something a little different. Even though they're harder to sell, like I'm gonna have to find a very specific guy that wants that guitar, believe it or not. It's still fun to make, and it's worth it to me to do those projects, because that also, you know, I do a couple of those a year. It inspires certain customers who come along and they go, oh, you know what? Like I could do this, I could do that. You know, it'll help sell more guitars down the road, so to say.
Do you have a personal favorite?
Oh,
one?
that's a loaded
I
question.
I know, because it's like they're all your babies.
I
Which
mean,
one's-
obviously, I got my own personal Virtus here, which is in this Aston Martin green with the mahogany back. I love that guitar. But then I have this guitar here, which is I don't know, my camera's kind of crappy, but it's this beautiful like redwood.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know, I don't have. I love them all. I always get that question. Well, which one's your favorite? Like, they're all my favorite. Like every.
It's like picking your favorite child.
My wife's probably watching right now, and she's probably laughing because my wife could hear me say this all the time. Like every time I finish a batch, like 5 or 6, I'm like, "This one's my favorite," and she's like, "You said that like 2 months ago about the last batch." Like, so there's always a new guy that comes along and is like, "Oh, that's the cool guy in town," and you know what I mean?
The flavor of the week or whatever.
Yeah. So I don't have a favorite. They're all cool, and they all are cool for different reasons. That's like part of the fun of making something that's different. Is each one has never been done before. If I made a Strat or a Telecaster or a Gibson style, like I can go on Google and type in the exact thing that I just made and find 9 million of them for sale already online. When I make these, it's like every customer that orders one of my guitars, for now until at some point in the future, maybe there's going to be so many of them. And some guys do order very similar spec, but they're all the first. So that's really cool. This one mine, that's the first one like that. This one here, that's the first one like that, and they're the only ones like that for now. So that's really cool.
The uniqueness and the beauty and the craftsmanship is there, the quality. So where's your shop located in Miami? Let us know again.
So my shop, unfortunately, I don't have a public space, so I can't give you an address or anything like that because I don't want people showing up.
Yeah.
So it's custom orders through...
It's custom orders. Yeah, you go on my website, deangordonguitars.com, and I have my order form on there, which admittedly can be overwhelming for some people, but you email me and I'm more than happy to talk people through it. And then, of course, I put out stock occasionally, like that fighter jet guitar is a stock guitar that's available. And then I have a couple of dealers around the world. My US based dealer, he's also based in the Netherlands, is Axe Palace. He actually has a physical store outside of Boston in a town called Walpole. And then he has a physical store in Amsterdam. So you can visit him there. I have a dealer, Apollon Music in Niigata, Japan, for those of you who happen to just randomly be in Niigata, Japan. And then I have another dealer in Thailand, in Bangkok, called Private Room Guitars.
That's crazy cool.
In Bangkok. I only like to have one dealer. Like some guys round up a whole bunch of them. I have one guy who represents me really well here and there. And so you can get stock through them and their websites too. How
about in NYC?
I don't have anyone in New York City. So
not yet.
I've tried, but no, not yet, but I tried in a few stores in New York, and like Chelsea Guitars, it's not the store for my guitars. And I love those guys.
Yeah.
But it's a vintage store. It's dusty. It's dingy. It's got this look and feel that my clients don't go there. I've tried selling guitars through that store quite a few times when I was working there, and just my guitars would just sit and collect dust. The guys that go in there
it's a very specific type of
hate my guitars. So it's like, and then I don't know, the only other store that used to sell guitars like that was Rudy's Music, but they don't sell guitars like boutique makers anymore. And to be honest, I don't think Rudy really cares about my style of work either. So no knock on him, but he just doesn't care either. And there's no other stores in New York that really sell. You would think there would be, but there's no New York City-based boutique guitar stores like that. And the ones that there are, they only sell vintage stuff. There's a few guys out on Long Island, but even then, they're like one of the stores I work with out on Long Island, South Shore Guitar Boutique. It's in Babylon. They sell more vintage style, but they actually are dealers for my Chelsea Telecaster. So when I make a batch, I usually get one for them, but they don't have one right now. They sell them pretty, like when they get them, they sell them. So there's.
All you got to say is a story, and it's like sold. Like for the right
oddly,
guy.
Like New York is not a very supportive city when it comes to buying modern guitars. It's just not. When I sell my guitars, it's the guys.
You don't see it that often in the area.
Yeah, they're. I mean, no offense to New York guitars, they're boring. My guitars they sell. It's guys in Washington State. It's California. It's Texas. It's Florida. It's like Virginia. It's like you know what I mean. It's Michigan. It's seldom ever New York. And I'm a New York-based guitar maker, and that's just New York guitars. Like I tried for 10 years to push myself to like all these players in the city. They could care less. And I'm not saying it to be negative, but it's just a fact. Like I didn't get any love from the New York guitar player base.
They just go for the vintage, the classics. Yeah.
A few guys
Very
here and there, like some of my friends, but they're my friends.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, I'm not, guys, if you're watching, I'm not saying I don't count you guys. I love you, but it's just the nature of the business. New York is very much so in the guitar realm, like old school. And it's not a bad thing. It's just New York's thing.
Yeah. We have a question in chat. A question coming from Kat D on YouTube. Welcome in, Kat.
Thank you so much for the question.
Dean, what's the craziest color combination or design you've done on one of your guitars so far?
Great question.
Craziest color combo. So like a big thing that I love is this. I love this Aston Martin thing, these greens, and I've done a few of these iterations of these different Aston Martin greens, and I did this one green with these like neon green details inspired by the Aston Martin F1 racing team. They have like, it's this bright tennis ball green with clashing against their like very subtle like British racing green. That's like my favorite combo, I have to say, like in terms of classiness but modern look. But one time I did this guitar for NAMM last year, which was I called it a unicorn guitar, or the My Little Pony guitar, because it was this insane flake rainbow mirrorless model that was just, it was every color of the rainbow as you turned it in the light, and it was
like
that was insanity. Yeah, that was a crazy. It was glitter. It was all glittery. So that was the craziest guitar, I would say, finish wise, because the whole guitar was done like that.
Do we have a picture online that we could show? Maybe.
You know, photographing that guitar was near impossible.
It's like you need a video
so
of it.
I have pictures of it on my Facebook page. You'd have to sit there and dig through it. But it's
okay.
I couldn't get good photos. So unfortunately, I wasn't really even able to really show that guitar off on social media, because every picture I took with a nice camera, with my cell phone, it always looked, I was like, this doesn't look good.
Aww.
It was just shining. It was shining so
hard to photograph
bright.
those.
Yeah. I couldn't catch the thing in photos. Yeah, I mean, I've done like crazy yellow colors and all kinds of different things. So it's I don't know. I could go down the list.
But what's one color that you want to make that you haven't made yet, that it's like a good combination, that is your favorite combination? You said the green, like that neon tennis ball green. I love that.
Yeah, so I've done that. I've done that a few times. Color that I want to do. I don't know. I've done like all kinds of blues, purples, yellows.
Hey Dean, is this the? Let me see here. Is this it?
That's it. Yeah. That's
I
it
can
right
see
there.
what you mean though, because it comes off
Look
like
how
it's
like
almost
washed out the photos look. Yeah, but you can get an idea of how glittery it is. Like, and the photos do no justice for that guitar at all.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's like eyeshadow that's iridescent, and it's like you have to move, and then it just hits it like just right, and it looks gorgeous.
And
like,
in person, more so, you see the colors in person.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that one too.
Yeah. I mean, look at that photo. You kind of get an idea in that one, but even then, it's like, it's so washed out.
The glare, the lighting, and
impossible to shoot.
I was saying how, like, if I have like a really amazing sports car, I was like, I would do some crazy iridescent. I was just saying that last night. Because I've seen a Tesla in that finish.
Yeah, it's that was the wackiest paint job by far. Like, but I've done all kinds of colors. At NAMM, I did this insane hot pink, and I did this crazy like bright orange. I've done it all so far. Like I don't think there's a color I really haven't done yet.
Is there a color that you definitely detest, that you don't like? You're like, ugh.
No, actually.
Why did I do that one?
Like there are guitars that I do, and like I'll show friends or family, and they're like, "What the hell? Like, who wants that?" And I'm like, you know what? It's like kind of really cool. Like, and it could be just some crazy color combination. Like, actually, there's a picture that you guys shared. It's another one of those like glittery, hollow flake looking guitars that was like this neon green color. You guys did like a little preview for the podcast here with the picture of this guitar, and that lower horn is red, and one of the pickups is pink, and the guitar is like lime green. That was like, some people would be like, that's like vomit, you know what I mean? Like, what the hell's going on here? But when you see it in person, I'm like, this is and I would never make that myself, but when I had it in my hands in person, I was like, you know what, this is so stupidly ridiculous that I kind of like it.
It looks so cool. I love the yellow accents on it.
Yeah. It's so out there. So I was like, you know what? I appreciate it all, really. There's no combo that'll like turn me off today, because doing something so out there is like, it's like a privilege, because it's like, this is really cool. Some guy saw my crazy design and wanted to make it even crazier. So I'm game for that.
Is there something you wouldn't do? Like if somebody wants something custom that you're like, okay, I don't do that.
Yeah, so I refuse to do any inlay work or anything like that. I can't stand that. Like I don't do inlays because, one, I don't have a ton of experience, but I also think it can look very cheesy and gaudy if you don't do it right. And to be frank, to a lot of clients or people that haven't bought but have emailed me asking, I get their ideas, I'll get a sketch and I'll look at it, and in the back of my head I'm like, this sucks. I would never want to do it.
All right,
So,
you guys, you heard it here first.
Yeah, inlay work, it doesn't, I like to let my guitars, like I don't even do dots on the fretboard, no dots, simple dot inlays or anything. I like to have like very clean. I like to let the shape and the color speak. So that's how I work with my guitars.
We've talked a lot about the Miras models. Can you give us the difference between the Miras and the Virtus? Like, why would one get a Miras over the Virtus and vice versa?
So I don't have a Miras here with me in the room. So that's the Virtus. It's a more aggressive shape. Much easier to get to those upper frets. It's definitely it's sharper. Like it's got crazier carves. So again, that's like the very modern, the very hyper player guitar. I like to say that this is like my Strat style, for lack of a better way to put it. And then the Miras is more like my Les Paul or Telecaster style. So it doesn't have that crazy aggressive cutaway. It's more of like a rounded shape. It's more subtle. It's more feminine. It's got this like beauty to it that you can see that is not, you can tell just from the pictures that you're showing now that it's not nearly as aggressive, but it's still got this gemstone like beauty to it, this quality that I still like to get onto them. So that again is more like my Les Paul or my Telecaster, while the Virtus here is more aggressive, and it's more like my Stratocaster or like my shredder style guitar. Yeah. Although you can play whatever you want on any of them. They're not. I don't make them to fit one genre.
So what's on your playlist? I haven't asked about the music, side of it, because I know you said that Muse and Coldplay were like.
Yeah, that started me. Coldplay to me is a terrible band today. They're awful. Oh my God.
So you haven't gone and taken your wife, because like that's one of those like romantic type of bands to go see.
I saw Coldplay that one year where I was inspired to play guitar. Did we see Coldplay? Have we seen? No, we haven't seen Coldplay.
It did its job, though. It got you inspired.
I took my wife to see Muse. I took my wife to see the Black Keys, the Arctic Monkeys. I've taken her to see. That was my
Those
younger.
Are all awesome bands.
They're amazing bands. Now that was my younger, when I was high school era of music that I was listening to. I listened to much heavier music now with my business. As my business, like I said, I don't try to make it a one genre brand, but it has become like more of a metal brand and like a kind of a shredder brand. It just leans into that. They're modern guitars, and the modern music in the guitar world is very aggressive stuff and very technical, and that's where the buyers are. So today I listen to a lot heavier music than Coldplay and Arctic Monkeys. Well, again, I can't listen to Coldplay because the music is terrible today, in my opinion. I like Arctic Monkeys. The Black Keys are all right. I'll still listen to bands like Foo Fighters and stuff like that. Like they're classic. But today I'll listen to bands more like Gojira, Bad Omens, to name a more known heavy rock band like Rammstein. And the bands get even lesser known bands, Distorted Harmony, Ions, all these bands that I find on Spotify, and they're metal bands, they're technical bands, but it's definitely very aggressive, heavy music that I listen to today.
As a guitar maker and a guitarist yourself, do you like these solo guitar players like Polini and all those?
Yeah, so I have a great appreciation for them. A lot of that music gets a little difficult to listen to, especially when there's not as much vocal bass. I'm not saying like I can't listen to these guys and they're not talented or I don't like it, but like I could listen to like a Pliny song and then like I have to go to a song where there's a vocalist and there's like a whole complete band that, for lack of a better way of saying it. Like Animals as Leaders with Tosin Abasi playing is a very similar thing to Pliny, or Polyphia with Tim Henson. It's another one where it's a guitar band, there's no vocals. There's only so much of that I could listen to.
I'm the same way. Dean. Like after two or three songs, I'm like, all right, let me switch it up.
I've met Tim Henson and talked to him a few times. He's seen my work. I've met Tosin Abasi. I've talked to him quite a few times. He's seen my work quite a few times. And I love a bunch of their songs, but like it'll come on, I'll listen to a song and it's like, I can't sit and do a whole album. Sorry if, again, one of them happens to hear it, no offense. But like, I'll have to mix it in with...
He's definitely a New Yorker. He's super honest. He's like,
I'm gonna tell you how
it is, all right? It's not for me, you know?
Like, it's funny because like I love guitar, but there's only so much guitar I could listen to.
Yeah.
Like, I love drum and bass, but
I like guitar because it gets put with music as a whole, with the whole band. You put it in a band, you know what I mean? Like if I go to Guitar Center, I can't just sit there and listen to the one guy playing guitar. So it's like I like guitars and I make guitars, so hopefully a player picks one of my guitars up and goes to his band and plays with his band. So that's where I kind of sit on that. And I like vocals though. Vocals make music a lot more listenable to me. Although one thing that recently I've been doing is I've been listening to a lot more electronic music. To the best like well-known example of what I could listen to that I'm getting into, I've been listening to like a lot of like Daft Punk kind of stuff. There's another band called Gunship, which is an amazing, like I love Gunship, like that kind of electronic music. I've really been listening to a lot of recently. So that I could blend into my playlists with the metal music, and that's actually a very great segue. And I'll go from like an extremely heavy Gojira song to like some Daft Punk song, and it's like it'll go into like from a heavy Gojira song right into like Get Lucky or something like that. And it's like such a different vibe. So I'm in the shop and I'm like, all right, let's go. Like, you
could just take so much of a genre and then I hop genres constantly too. I'm a big music lover.
And to me, it's like, there's a lot of music I can't listen to, and I will fight tooth and nail with people within my circle, not publicly, that like I think sucks. Not naming someone who just did the Super Bowl.
I feel you, and I don't care who's listening. I don't care. I feel you.
Oh my God,
I'm the same. Honestly, and I'm from New York, and I'm
watching that. It was like, okay, I don't understand why this guy's famous. And then Lady Gaga comes on and blows him out of the water with her amazing voice and.
Don't
let me get into it.
She saved it.
Ricky Martin and Lady Gaga like made it. To me, that was the music.
I don't see the obsession either. So you're not.
Like, I can't listen to stuff like that. There's a lot of classic music that was played where it's like I have to turn it off. Like classic rock, certain songs I've just heard way too much.
Too many times.
Yeah.
I can't listen to it. I go to see a hockey game. I hear it between periods. Like I can't. It's too publicized today. I can't listen to it. Like. Yeah, Journey, Rush, a lot of Rolling Stones songs. I love they're all so talented. I'm not knocking them, but like I can't listen to it anymore.
Yeah,
it's been there, done that. Like I'm always finding bands that are not known and like all these different artists that are not known on Spotify that I could list here, and it wouldn't make a difference because no one even knows them. Like they'll have like 30,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. And it's like I'm getting into all these groups, and I love streaming services for the fact that like a lot of them have Discover feeds.
Yeah.
And it's like, who the hell are these guys? And it's like some small group in like Sweden. Yeah. And it's like, wow, a few of their songs kick ass. You put them on your list. Like, so that's how I get into like a lot of my newer music today.
Me too.
And I like that a lot more.
A lot of music in circulation on Instagram, like when I'm kind of like scrubbing through the reels and whatnot, like at times you get like an ad of like a new band posting their stuff. I would send it to her, and I'm like, "Yo, this is actually pretty cool."
Yeah. And then they'll have like 1,000 likes on Instagram.
Right.
No one even knows them. Like,
not...
I get into arguments, especially with my parents and like their friends. Oh, music today sucks. And it's like it's a lot of music today sucks. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
let's stop making dumb music popular.
But let's not forget that back in the day, there's a lot of shitty music from back in the 70s and 80s and 90s too that people forget because it sucked, so they forgot it.
Yeah.
But today, music sucks, and I always tell people like, well, there was I think in it like there was an affinity for getting better music faster, because the way people found their music back in the day was, it was like you had to get on like a TV show. I'm talking like 60s, 70s,
in the
80s.
radio.
You had to get on one of the big talk shows back in the 60s and 70s, or you had to, in the 80s and 90s, get on MTV, or you had to get on a radio show.
R.I.P.
And those
MTV.
radio hosts and those people were very serious about their music. So they weren't just going to take like some idiot off the internet. You know, they weren't going to pick like a Nicki Minaj and her trashy music and throw her up there.
Or the mumble stuff now.
And I'm not saying that they didn't occasionally pick bad people. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm a fart, but like back in the day, I always try to explain this to like my parents, for instance, like you were able to find better music because there was a bigger filter before the music got to you. So you really only heard the better portions of it.
Yeah.
And then the best of it was what made it onto the radio. Like Michael Jackson and the Rolling Stones and all these guys made it because they were put on the shows and the radio, and like there was good music.
Yeah.
And bands back in the day had to spend a lot of money to get into studios and stuff. So before someone offloaded a ton of money on a band, like you had to be good. They weren't just gonna, it's not like today where like they could stick some artist in a room with a computer and be like, all right, that's that. And I'm not downplaying it. I know
it's
a lot goes into it.
popularity contest.
Yeah, I'm not downplaying it and saying that, like, for instance, you know, one of those mumble rappers you were just talking about, like they don't spend money on them and that is easy. I'm not saying that, but like I think the filter back in the day was much bigger. So back in the day, people got music, and the only places they could hear it were those radio stations. They didn't have Spotify. But I always try to tell people, how often are you sitting on Spotify really listening to new music? Oh, I can't find new music. You have to try to find new music.
Are you even searching?
Yeah, and if you freaking tried, you'd find some amazing bands and some talented musicians that need the support, that want the support.
Exactly.
And that's how I find my music today. And I've told this to 1,000 people. Half of them don't understand what I'm saying. It's like an alien language. I don't have any other better way to say it, though, so I pull my hair out and I just shut my mouth.
Or yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons why it's so cool, because Spotify suggests, or that you just go on a playlist and then you'll find all these new artists. A lot of good bands are coming from Sweden, from Switzerland, from the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm. And you know, it's funny, like Mom, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but my mother, for instance, I love her to death, but like she's always like, music today sucks. And I'm like, Mom, that's because you don't sit on Spotify looking for new music. You know what I mean? Like if I showed her how to do that and she actually puts time into it, she'd find some amazing, I can guarantee you, I don't do this for this genre, but if my mom went and looked for some funk bands, disco, I'm sure there's some amazing disco and funk groups today. I can guarantee you there are people making amazing disco and funk and all that kind of music from her era today who maybe play some local venues in whatever town or city they live in, and the bands kick ass and they're passionate, but no one knows them. So
I think
like
the word now should be spoon-fed music sucks.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Because like
force-fed.
we can't
commercialized music
like
sucks.
if you're not searching, you're not going to find anything great. If you're just sitting there listening to what's already been processed over and over and over again,
yeah, you're gonna get tired of it.
You're not gonna. Yeah, it's gonna suck. You know.
Yeah. And I try to walk a fine line when I say this, because to a lot of people it makes me sound like a huge asshole. But I mean, one, I don't care because it's what I think. But two, I truly think
you like
that
what
people,
you like.
People think music is terrible today because they don't go looking for new bands, and they only
and we
listen
like
to
all
that
kinds of genres too, because I know you like all kinds of genres. Because good music is good music.
I'm not. I can't sit there and say I like all kinds of genres because I am very limited in what I do listen to. But I know that the way I find my music, new stuff, all these new bands, I know the same thing applies to classic rock and jazz and funk and disco and electronic music. There's DJs and bands and musicians and all kinds of groups that get no support because people don't look for their music today. Because unfortunately today, you either get the McDonald's of music, which is like what you find, for instance, at the Super Bowl. You either get crap spoon-fed to you, or you have to go out of your way and do your own research. And people today are just terrible at doing research. That's it. They're terrible at looking into things for themselves. And I think that that's like the core of why music is where it is. Like, you could get into money and this and that. That plays a big part of it. Like, a lot of these guys can't make money and support themselves. But part of that is that no one goes out of their way to listen to them. No one goes to local venues. Artists. No one goes, oh my God, I like this band, and finds out that they're doing a tour in their town and goes and pays for a ticket. No one does that anymore. So I don't know what to say.
I mean, like, how else is, for instance, Bad Omens or Spirit Box and Sleep Token?
Well, they're huge now, so
because people found them, you know.
But you saw them in a small venue in
they
Brooklyn.
blew up.
Yeah, I saw Bad Omens doing like your typical like movie type, like sticking all their crap in a van in a U-Haul, like dragging it across the country. They were slugging it out for sure. But they've made it. I mean, they are huge. They play gigantic arenas today.
Yeah.
So does Spirit Box, frankly. Spirit Box really blew up. They've won Grammys now.
Mm-hmm.
But I could tell you, if you sat down with Mike Stringer or his wife, who's the singer, Courtney, I think that's her name, I'm sorry. Man, they will tell you that they probably had to really, and I know they did. They really beat the shit out of themselves for years, making no money and spending any dollar they had to try and grow. And I'm not saying this will happen for everybody. Like hard work, yes, unfortunately does not pay off for everybody. But in order to make it in the music world, you do have to do hard work. So they all did that, and they all got recognized. And whether that's because people caught on and they were finding the small bands or whatnot, some guys are lucky and they just blow up. You have to look into these bands, and that's just how it works, you know?
And speaking of, this is a great segue to go into one of our final questions, which is the 12 songs of the soundtrack of your life, which is like either really hard or really easy, depending. I always say don't overthink it, because it usually just, if you don't have the
it's
list
a hard
ready,
one for me.
but that's what I'm saying. Don't overthink it. I mean, it usually comes to a person, like, or they're just like, okay, the first song that you learned to play on guitar, the song that you danced to with your wife at your wedding, things like that. Things that will reflect, you know, your taste, and also that means something to you. You know, right? Maybe a song that reminds you of your mother when you were little.
12 songs. All right, so one, going back before any of my guitar things, that comes along, you know, it's early music inspiration. My parents listened to all kinds of music. You know, I took, sorry, Mom, if you're watching again, I took more musical pull from my father, who listened to Led Zeppelin and the Rolling Stones and Dave Matthews and Pearl Jam. So I think of one song for number one, that was when we did car rides, if we would go on road trips or something like that. I, for some reason, always can imagine sitting in the back of the car and my dad blasting Satellite by Dave Matthews. So I could hear that one. That one definitely reminds me of my childhood. And then moving to two is another kind of a childhood one that I could see. I could hear my dad blasting it in the house. I could see it. Is Rolling Stones, Wild Horses.
Oh, that's one of my dad's favorite songs.
Now that song's beautiful to begin with. It's my favorite Rolling Stones song. I think that's an incredible song. And then another one, kind of I could again. You know, those two first songs were more like the car ride songs. I remember them from my youth because we always did road trips. We would go to like upstate New York and stuff like that. So that's why I'm pulling early life, those songs. I could see my dad blasting them in the house. I could see my dad playing them in the car. I could another song, Kashmir by Led Zeppelin. I could see, as I close my eyes, my father standing he always had a crazy sound system in the house. I could see him standing there, just kind of like jamming out, blasting Kashmir by Led Zeppelin, or like any of their songs really, but Kashmir comes to mind. Now kind of getting into getting a little older was now that, like, when I started getting into guitar, I have a few songs there that come to mind. The main one is if I have to say, the Coldplay song Coldplay just came out with, the tour that I first saw them with. This is, again, the concert that inspired me to pick guitar up. Thinking it off the top of my head. They just came out, Viva La Vida. Okay. Not a guitar song at all. But that is a song that comes to mind heavy, because that era was when I really started more getting into listening to music. And that's when I was like, hey, we'll go see my first concert. Saw Coldplay. That was the same tour, the Viva La Vida tour. And that was the concert that inspired me to pick up playing guitar. I think that era was the same as also now U2, and this is coming back to my parents. U2 just came out with How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb, the album. So I could think of like Vertigo and City of Blinding Lights and those songs. That era, when I think back to it, is heavy in my head in terms of inspiring me to want to pick up guitar. And then the Coldplay concert again. Now we have Muse, Starlight. Starlight, that song was, my brother Dylan showed me that. He showed me Muse. That's when I got into obviously Matt Bellamy and learning about his guitars. And this was all, again, roughly that same era of my life. I can't pinpoint an exact year where I could, you know what I mean? I can't do that. But Starlight by Muse was a big one.
It's a beautiful one too.
How many songs is that? What is
5?
that?
6.
6? Okay, 6. So we're moving along. Now, again, I was saying that we were always going upstate and thinking of like, I always think of upstate when I think of my childhood because I hated going up there as a kid. And
Why?
my parents, I don't know, I was an idiot probably or something like that.
What was it? Was it Lake George? Where?
It was just, you go upstate, you sit in the house, I owned my video games, I didn't have any TV, it was just like sitting in the trees.
Like a cabin?
Yeah. And I was never an outdoor kid.
That's such a city folk thing. Like that's one of the things I remember too.
And it's funny because my parents always said to me, like, when you're older, you're going to hate how you didn't appreciate it. And I always did appreciate it to some extent. I always loved the mountains and nature. I liked going up there in the winter because we would go snowboarding and stuff like that. But winter is only this big and East Coast snowboarding season sucks. So, it was what it was. But I think of ones, I now think of, what the hell's the band? Kings of Leon. I'm forgetting the name of the album. What's the song? Hang on. Let me Google this real quick. I'm sorry.
It's gonna bother him. Yes. Yeah,
he's gotta get it. You gotta get
Hang on. It's like their biggest hit by far. They have a song called like.
Is it Sex on Fire? Is it
Pyro?
Oh yeah, that same album. There's Pyro.
Kathy said Pyro.
Pyro. There's Waste a Moment. That dog reminds me of That song reminds me of going upstate and being in the house that we had upstate. And it more specifically reminds me, for some reason, of my late beagle Flip. So Flip, we had to put him to sleep a few years ago. But that's very emotional for me. That dog was very important to me growing up because both of my brothers are recovered addicts. And those years were when my brothers were in the depths of their heroin abuse and their pill abuse, and it was really rough for my family and for my brothers. So we would always go upstate, and going up there was an escape for my parents, sometimes an escape for me. And that era was about the same, and I don't know why, but it's a very emotional era because for some reason, when I think of upstate, who loved going upstate was my dog. The dog loved Flip, just absolutely loved going upstate.
He flipped out.
Yeah, exactly. He loved it. So I think of upstate, I think of him, and that song reminds me of upstate. And when I think of upstate, I specifically think of Flip. So that's why that song comes in at 7.
Childhood dogs mean so much to you, right? Like to me,
my God,
I can't even talk about it because I get like start getting.
That final day with Flip is like burned. I could tell you everything about every second of that day. It's burned into my memory. And I hate how it's burned into my head, but it is. That was, what a shitty day. Anyways, I love Flip, and he's across the Rainbow Bridge right now. So, I don't know. He's waiting for me someday.
The unconditional love is always unforgettable.
Yeah. So moving along, even though he was a pain in the ass dog, he never listened to any of us. And if he could, he would have given us all the middle finger. So moving along, getting now into my guitar realm. Now I have started building guitars, tinkering with guitars, playing guitars, and now I'm realizing, okay, the guys that like my stuff are more into metal and heavier rock. Early music that I listened to, one band is called The Contortionist, or just Contortionist. They haven't made new music in a long time. The guys, I think they're making a new record. There's rumors of it, but they haven't put anything out in a while because life caught up with all the band members, kids, moving, whatnot.
Yeah.
They have a song called Reimagined, which I listened to quite a bit when I was working at Chelsea. I love The Contortionist. This was actually when I got into like Tosin Abasi as also, and Periphery. But specifically The Contortionist comes to mind. I remember listening to that quite often when I would be like working on guitars and whatnot. So is that's 8. Now getting into kind of my another songwriter on then again, this was still kind of like my when my brothers were abusing themselves with drugs, and I think about Tool, Parabola, that song, Gizm, that's another one. I'll put those two at the same.
I'm
but
a huge Tool fan too.
Yeah, and my brother Jared is a huge Tool fan, and I think of him when I think of Tool.
I was hoping you didn't hate Tool. I was like, please don't hate Tool.
No, I like Tool. My father, that was probably the heaviest band my father listened to growing up, especially. But Tool comes into my mind because I think of my brother Jared, who absolutely loves Tool, and I think of this point in my life going over these 12 songs throughout my life and inspirations and stuff. I think of that song because I think of Jared, and I'm kind of using these songs to tell my life story.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Think of that because I think of that era, and I think of the drug abuse era and how that kind of like really hurt the family. And I think of Parabola because Jared would be blasting that, or and I think of that. That's when I listen to that. Now moving into a more positive era as I built my business up, I start to think of Gojira. When I started getting even heavier, listening to a band, Gojira, they have a song called Another World. It's about them all getting in a spaceship and going to another planet because this world was getting destroyed by wars, pollution, all that. And they go to another world. And that's about the time when I got into them. And my business was growing. I was kind of getting more in with the crowd of people that listened to that. Now COVID era, Bad Omens. I saw them the day before the lockdowns. So whenever I think of the COVID, whenever people remind me of that when COVID just started, I immediately think of that concert and I think of Bad Omens. So Bad Omens have a song called The Worst in Me, which is an incredibly cool metal song. And that reminds me of that kind of COVID era. And what song is that? Is that 10 now?
You have one more after this one.
Okay. Now I'm going to just kind of do what I do now. I listen to a band, I told you I listen to all kinds of electronic music today when I'm jamming in my shop, and I could list off 100 different metal bands that I still listen to. But I listen to a band called Crosses. And Crosses is, the lead singer is the lead singer of the Deftones, actually. Which the Deftones they're fucking incredible. So they have a song called Invisible Hand, which I really, really love that song. It's such a cool song. The band is like this like metal, hard rock, like industrial electronic sound.
I've shown you some of their songs.
Yeah. They are so unique and so different. And it's weird because you kind of have to give it a little bit for them to grow on you. Mm-hmm. But now like their songs rotate through my playlist every day.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm at now musically.
You did it!
I also like Team Sleep. Team Sleep is another one with Chino.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But if you haven't tried Crosses, try Crosses. Yeah. They're really good.
Yeah, they have some great songs.
So, I'm going to give you a bonus one. What was the song that either like you and your wife met or remind you of each other, or your dance that you had for your wedding? Like what was that?
So we haven't had a wedding.
Okay.
Actually, it's we've been together since 10th grade.
Aww.
And again, I actually forgot how old I am right now in this moment. I'm 31 or 32, whatever it is. Do we have a song? She might be, I don't know if she's upset at me, if she's listening to this right now.
Did I just set you up?
Yeah, maybe.
Why did you do that?
We listen to all
dedicate a song to your wife right now and redeem yourself.
Yeah.
I'm trying for you.
Oh my god, I'm on the spot.
My bad, man, my bad.
She's staring intently at the screen probably. She has such, Catherine has such a wide taste in music. And it's funny because first of all, her favorite music is like old school disco and funk and all that. That's her favorite kind of. She listens to like Chicago.
Oh, I love Chicago.
And you know what I mean? Like all those kinds of bands in that era. And so I can't pick one song because I give her credit for this. She listens to all kinds of music. She'll listen to Latin music. She'll listen to even awful, terrible, the worst commercialized, god awful, super terrible, miserable, horrible. And I'm
Is
saying
she a
this because she's
Swiftie?
probably
Is she a
watching.
Swiftie? Is that what you're saying?
No. But she'll listen to something like Bad Bunny, which is horrible, and I'm gonna stop that. But so she'll go through the
Pretend
whole
we
range.
didn't hear that.
And then
She was
it's
like,
funny
wait till
because
this podcast is over.
Stop.
sometimes
Talking.
one time like a few months ago, I got into the car and her phone auto connected to the car right outside the driveway here, and Bring Me the Horizon popped up, and it was her phone. So that's how she's playing that too. And
See?
and so it's like, okay, so she's listening to this heavy stuff,
Everything.
and she'll be like, I don't know how you listen to this, but then she's listening to it behind my back.
Yeah.
So
But you
I
know
give
what I
her
mean?
credit for that.
You guys are in Miami. You guys have everything going on
Yeah.
too there. So, you
Oh,
know.
unfortunately, again, Miami is. I do not look at the population of Miami as any indicator for quality in anything at all. The people here are delusional, and I think it's the heat baking their brains for too
the
long or something.
craziest shit.
But
It's in
this
Florida.
this city has the worst musical taste in the country, and I would bet on that. And because it's all Bad Bunny, and that's all they listen to.
Yeah.
It's so close-minded. It's amazing that I've even made a few friends that listen to the stuff that I listen to. Without me ranting, I give Catherine all the credit in the world for her massive range of music that she can listen to. I mean, it's everything. And but if I had to say, I can't name a song off the top of my head, but it's got to be like a classic, like some sort of disco song, like something from Chicago is one of her favorite songs. But one that reminds me of her, I don't know. There's so many songs. I don't have a specific song that I go, oh, this makes me think of my wife.
Yeah.
And if there is, she'll remind me. And I hope she does, because I would like to know it. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I can't
Shout
answer
out
that.
to Catherine, because, you know, she has to put up with all the things that he says he hates, that she loves. So shout out to Catherine. And she's a supportive wife.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
And that's what matters. You
The
rock,
most-
Catherine.
The most supportive.
I like Chicago too.
Yeah. Well, at least she does listen to good music. I'll say that. Like, she has good taste for the most part. We'll get the Bad Bunny out of there. There's no worries about that.
That'll happen.
Yeah.
Dean, I
It was
appreciate
so
you, man. It
awesome.
was awesome to
Thank
have
you.
you on and share your story and your developments and
Thank you.
how you became who you are today as a luthier in your own business. You came a long way, and I'm proud for all of your accomplishments. Even though we
Thank
just
you.
met
It's
today,
amazing.
I
It's
feel like I've
amazing.
known you for a while. So
Thank you.
but is there anything that you want to let everyone know now about your current designs and or future projects that you have going on that you want people to look out for Dean Gordon Guitars?
In 2026.
So, I don't have anything specific, but what I can say is, if you're listening and you're new to hearing about my stuff, follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, where you can kind of see up-to-date stuff, my latest projects. And then if you're interested in my work or orders or something like that, you can go on my website or even message me on social media. I'm extremely receptive. I love talking with people. It's what I like to do. And you could either shoot me a message if you're interested in a certain idea. You could send me in one of the order forms and we can go back and forth. It doesn't mean you have to buy. And yeah, you could, again, if you're any communication, anything, reach out.
And
Thank
it
you
looks
so
like
much.
on your forms, it is very detailed on the different things
Yes.
you can put on the guitar and make it
Yes.
as customized as you want
Yes.
it. So yeah, as
Well, real quickly,
Yes.
what song?
I was gonna say "Thank You" by Led Zeppelin.
Thank You by Led Zeppelin.
The song.
You see, look, I'm
There
thinking
it
Secret
is.
City, you know what I mean? Like, look at that. Yeah.
very nice.
It's definitely a good one.
Tthank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Perfect. And we thank you, Dean, for being on the podcast. We love you. We love everything you do. And hopefully we get to see you in NAM next year if we don't get to see you in
Please,
any
I'm
other.
going to be there for sure. And if you guys come down to NAM, or if you need passes, let me know. I can see about that, but let me know.
Yeah, we definitely
Awesome.
keep in touch. Everyone that's watching, thank you for hanging out and tuning in, being a part of this show. Be sure to follow Dean and all of his creations to come. And also give us a follow on all of our social medias at YenYorkCity.
Yes.
Everywhere.
Follow,
Subscribe,
share.
and we hope to see you on our next show where we're gonna have an amazing handpan player, and he's a what is he? He's a
guru.
he does a lot of meditation. He went to Nepal, was it?
Nepal,
Yeah.
India. He's worked with a lot of big names. It's gonna be awesome to have him next week, guys.
Jimmy Lepresti. He's going to be on next
Awesome.
week, Sunday. Tune in, same time, same place here, YenYorkCity Live. Much love, everyone. And we'll see you again real soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.